Thank you everyone for joining us tonight for Grace's Artist in Residency Artist Talks. Before we begin, CASA and the Allied Arts Council of Lethbridge acknowledge that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Tonight's presenter is Grace Wirzba, our current artist in residence. And Grace Wirzba is an interdisciplinary artist originally from rural Manitoba, currently based in Lethbridge, Alberta. Her material focus falls on soft sculpture, textiles, and printmaking. She received her undergraduate degree with honors in studio arts from the University of Lethbridge in 2018. Wirzba has participated in residencies at Madalta's Shaw International Center for Contemporary Ceramics and currently is at CASA. Her work consistently centers on themes of the home, gender, and community histories. So I will pass it off to Grace now.
Awesome. Thanks, Angeline. And thanks everybody for coming. Yeah, I should start my screen sharing. How's that?
That looks great. I can see your the next slide, by the way.
No, right, because it's presenter view. I can't do presenter. That makes sense. Get it. Like that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Yes, like Angeline said, I'm Grace Wirzba. I'm a local artist to Lethbridge, Alberta. Went to the University of Lethbridge. It was super influential in my practice, and a lot of local artists continue to be very influential in my practice. Today I'm going to be speaking about a project that I'm currently working on and kind of a little bit of history of my work since I graduated in 2018. So work that I haven't really talked about in many places. So yes, okay. So starting back in 2018, I moved to London, England for a little bit. I was living in North London and I decided to do kind of a little weird pop-up exhibition in a church tower in Hornsey. So yeah, in North London. And it was this like amazing space. I went to visit it for some reason or other. And when I saw it, I just thought it was the coolest space ever. It wasn't part of it. The rest of the church had burned down many years, centuries ago, but this was still left standing, and it was part of a local park and across the way from elementary school. So these are just two install shots. So the work that I was making at this time was incredibly site specific. So it was really focused on the architecture of a place. I was really interested in responding to architecture. And so in this being a church tower, I was really interested in, and so this being a church tower and me being very far from my friends and community, tight-knit community back in Canada, I was really thinking about friendship. And so this is kind of when I started thinking about communities and kind of like almost the religiosity of sharing time and space with your friends, and especially friends and community in general, especially being so far away. So this pop-up I did in this space was kind of thinking about that, about communion with friends and especially female friendships and kind of like the religious experience that is a sleepover. So yeah, so this was really fun. And I think because I was out of art school and far away and not very many people would see it, I just played around a lot with like fun stuff and made it kind of weird. And then I just had it open for about a week and would just hang out in this space during the day between nannying shifts. So yeah, so that was the work that I kind of started with. Oh, this is a close-up shot. I was really interested in food and sharing food and breaking bread and that kind of thing. And really interested in the textures of, and then yeah, so this is when I was starting to kind of move deeply into textiles again. So kind of starting with felting and experimenting with food and and felting into it and the textures that that made and what that means and decoration and that sort of thing. So yes. At the same time, I was also taking a lot of photos myself, literally on my iPhone, but taking photos and experimenting with digital collage, obviously inspired by Angeline Simon, who is present tonight. But yeah, so I was also interested in being in a city and not having any studio space. Whereas when I was in university, I did a lot of screen printing and did a lot of weird stuff that you needed space and time and assistance for. And I didn't have access to any of those things, maybe a little bit of time. But so, yeah, I started just experimenting with my camera and my laptop and doing kind of collages um, mixed with drawings that I'd scanned as well. Um, so that's included on the left there. Were some collages I was doing. Upon returning to Lethbridge, Alberta, I had a show at CASA the week after I got back. So half of the work I had made kind of abroad in the UK, and then I packed into a suitcase and came and showed here. And that was, again, this quilt here on the right is yeah, is when I started to get back into sewing. I definitely had done sewing in my undergrad, but and have a large history of it myself. But this is when I started thinking, pulling it back into my practice, and I was really happy with that piece. Yeah, fabric has always been incredibly present in my practice. My parents owned a fabric store for about 8 years of my adolescence, which was very influential. I have fabric all around me, just out of shot over here is lots of fabric. So yeah, I was kind of starting, and that's but continuing to use think about colors and textures within material like that. Um, this is a quote from Ursula K. Le Guin from her poetry book So Far So Good. But the song this old soul wants to sing is soft, like a child playing alone in a sunlit loft. With a long story she wants to tell, singing it softly to herself, long, long, soft, soft. Um, my practice has always been described as whoops, as soft, I would say. The colors that I use, the textures that I use, and even the subject matter, and a lot of it has been revolving around comfort and anxiety and the need for comfort in that. During the pandemic, like lots of us, I think, I got very into reading and reading fiction and sci-fi that I hadn't ever read before. I used to be kind of a strictly nonfiction reader as an adult, but I really read so much last year, and I read a lot of Ursula Le Guin, who I'd heard of upon her passing many years ago, but had never heard of her before that, sadly. But her science fiction really just made me think about things in a different way and made me think about objects and plants in a different way. And that kind of comes back into my practice as well. Another huge inspiration, who also just passed away, is Atel Adnan, the artist and poet. Her work has often been influential for me for a really long time, especially because she has like a very deep connection to place, which has been also a theme throughout my work, and I think was like a theme at that work that I did in London, as kind of like a lack of knowing the space around me. My university work was very focused on that specific space and place as well. So yeah, Adnan's work is very in response to the mountains around her, Mount Tamalpais, where she has done many works about that specific mountain. But also the shapes and colors are very obviously present in my work, I think, of Atel Adnan. Her bright colors, her simple shapes, but her reference to landscape have always been very present. And I still just love them so much to this day. I also, upon returning, actually, no, that was also during the pandemic. That we're still present in, obviously. I started doing hand pieced and hand quilted little. This one's really small, like maybe like 8 inches by 8 inches. But yeah, I'd never really done anything like this. I'd done very large. I've done bed-sized quilts for a long time since I was really little. My mom always fostered that in myself and my sister, a sense of knowing how to use fabrics and quilting and sewing. But I thought quilting, the actual act of quilting on top, was always pretty boring. So I never did that. We would do it by machine, or my mom would send it out to somebody else to do it. But then I had time for, the last 2 years. I had time to sit down. I had time and I had anxiety. And so the act of sewing these stitches, I was never interested in super intricate quilting patterns, but I just loved the retracing of the pieces that I put together, of those shapes. And I liked that act of finalizing it with quilting on top. So I started doing these, more for commercial and gifts and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a great way to play with color, and I was really, really inspired when I was at home and had so much time to play. And these kind of started being a way for me to play with color again in that accessible way. I've always had a sewing machine, and so I could um, work at home like that. From there, I started really getting back into drawing. I hadn't identified as a drawer for quite some time, especially in university. But I found a bunch of old pencil crayons and I kind of got to work. And this was the beginning of the transition into the project that I'm working on now, which is in response to the Galt Museum collection. Not the thing in entirety, but to selected objects from it. I was really yeah, starting to think about, again, those thoughts of place and objects, and also just, probably kind of started with looking for reference images to draw from and that sort of thing as well. um but the yeah so I started this project to do with the Galt Museum, and I kind of started asking around if people were interested in doing it with me. I think this was also a time of Zoom parties and yeah, like watching movies online, playing games online. So it was a way to obviously seek community as well while we were all at home. And people were really responsive to it, because they had that time and they were looking to commune with others. Um, but so this quilt on the right, is a quilt that is in the collection, or inspired by, based on, in the Gold collection. They actually have a beautiful quilt um, area there. Yeah, so I started looking at these objects and thinking about home objects and drawing them from inspiration. Then I became really interested in storytelling. I've never done too much work that's like based on history or specific stories, but I was really interested in kind of mythologizing and people's particular connection to objects, place, or even something they just came across. So I became interested in kind of taking these objects that obviously hold a connection to our local community from the Galt, and then showing them without any context to someone who would then interpret it. So I started thinking about it as a large game of telestration, um, which is like telephone, but with drawings and writing as well. I think I played it for the first time when I was doing art camp at the University of Lethbridge with 8-year-olds. And it was really fun. And it's so fun to see the weird things that come out of it, and it's hilarious. But also like an interesting way of thinking about interpretation and taking a very true history of this object, which Kevin McLean at the Galt is very excellent at recording those oral histories into the collection. If you look at the collection, there's every object has transcriptions of interviews and so much information. And so it was as much as that is such a valued thing in our community. It was kind of the objects themselves that became interesting to me, and I almost didn't want to look at the context, because you see an object, which I will actually, here's some object. These ones are from the Esplanade in Medicine Hat, but you see an object and I instantly start to create a story around it, or think about what that was used for, why that was used for. And I think with physical objects in museums too, you think, oh, like, who was the who was the person who touched this last, that it was like in use for, not the handlers, obviously. But I think, yeah, you really start to think about those things, and especially objects from the home. I was really interested in kitchen objects and bedroom objects and that sort of thing. Um, and so, yeah, I just kind of put a call out on my social media to see if people wanted to collaborate. And I didn't really know. I just thought this would be like a fun thing to do, for people to respond. So I kind of curated a list, that anybody who wanted to, I would send them the list, and they could just pick an object, to respond to in any way, shape, or form. So that could have been, I mean, I think at the time I was thinking through visual artwork, but through writing or, anything that people wanted to. So I'm gonna go back. Oh yeah, here's just, this is also a quote from the collection, based on it, which is super intricate. And I've seen it. I saw it, in real life for an exhibition a couple of years ago, and it's really, yeah, it's really beautiful, super detailed. Um, so yeah, I started kind of cataloging these objects, not cataloging, that's the incorrect word, but just looking at these objects and spending time with them and drawing based off them and using the colors. And I started, yeah, thinking about whether those were ongoing stories, or whether you were kind of making up a myth of what this object was used for based on your interpretation of how it looked. I thought that was really a really interesting path to go down, and creating these, um or these histories that aren't even true, I think is kind of funny. And I think I wanted to play around with that. I do want to play around with that. Um, what is the history, and when does it become a myth, and what is an urban myth? And if I tell enough people that this calendar, hung in a grocery store, which it probably did, but hung in a grocery store surrounded by, rotting vegetables that needed to go out to the trash, like, it's like, will enough people, think that that's true, or go from there and think about how stories become true to you, even if they're not actually true. So I'm thinking about that a lot, about s- history versus stories versus oral history versus urban myths, and those kind of things. And if you can kind of try and create your own in a funny way. um a good friend of mine, Andy Martin, who, lives in the UK, he, responded to these three objects. So this soap dish, this pen from a Gold Volunteer pen, and this comb. He responded to these with, a composition of flute music. He has his master's in flute in, from Guildhall in London, and he responded with this beautiful, 4-minute composition. And I wanted to play it, but I think it'll be too, I mean, not the whole thing, but, if I can find a way to share it somehow, I will do that. um but yeah, the sound isn't very good to play it, but it was this beautiful, composition that he had responded to those three objects in, and kind of had told me a little story to go with it as well, which I've kind of taken parts of his story and not. But some parts of his story was that it was about an elderly kind of person who had, volunteered at this local museum, and every morning combed his hair and put his keys in this soap dish, and the soap dish and the comb were from this whimsical aunt that he had, and that's what he gave me, right? And so I thought that was really interesting, and I've actually been thinking about that piece of music and that story for the last year. So, this was the very first drawing I did in response to, while listening to Andy's piece. I imagined this gentleman to also have a flourishing garden, but that was quite messy, and but he was a gentle caregiver to it, but it was also, overgrown and a bit funny. Um, so yeah, this is when I started drawing flowers and flowers and greenery and stuff like that, and I think that was definitely influenced by the science fiction I was reading as well. I really like the funny forms, and kind of sometimes, like, yeah, I don't know, gross looking things. um so yeah, so since then I still work a bit with other objects, but I've really been focusing responding to that piece of music. And this project will the first rendition of this project will be shown with treks through the AFA, starting in August, November, and it will be traveling around Alberta to schools and libraries and public buildings like that, which I think is a really fun, especially for schools and kids. I work with kids a lot in my daily job, but I think it's fun, especially if kids have these imaginations that just like go in lots of weird, funny directions. And so I think this concept of the telestration, taking one thing, translating it to another, translating again, will be really fun to see what those guys do. So yeah, so these I played a lot with text and color still, but started doing this process of making a collection of my works in response to the works that community members had sent in to me, including Andy's piece. Yeah, this is another drawing that I. Oh, wait, did I? Where are my other picture? Oh, I wanted to show this one too. I don't know why it's so far back. Oh, because I've been working on it. So this was also a submission by Kasia Sosnowski, who is an artist who's now based in Toronto. Originally, not originally, but from Lethbridge. And so this was her response to this really cool sweatshirt in the Galt collection. And then I just asked her, so I'm making this into a lino cut print. So we're kind of collaborating on it. She did the original drawing and I altered it a bit, and I have the borders and I'm gonna print it. So yeah, so this one is more of a direct translation because I just like loved her drawing so much and thought it would be fun. Um yeah, like a fun piece of work, but as an example of kind of some of the submissions I got in, that's Kasha's as well. Mm. Yeah, so so I've been working on this print, but most of my residency has been some drawing and textile work. So this is kind of the one on the top left is the first one I did when I started my residency, um, and thinking about color and shape, and still in response to listening to this music kind of over and over again, and then creating these stories. And this one I thought the color of the suit, or the suit and tie that this elderly gentleman would put on to go to his volunteer gig that he took very seriously at the local museum. So yeah, I kind of started just playing around, and um, so all of these. This is so during this time I've become really interested and invested in hand piecing and hand quilting. I was reading about craft in some way, shape, or form in an article by Paula Owen, and she was talking about the process being so embedded in the final work. And I really, really like that. And I think that's very true in lots of visual work, but in craft especially, is you can't remove the process from the work. It is the work in some ways. And so I've always made work very, very fast. I've always made lots of work very quickly. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. And but hand piecing really has made me slow down. And sometimes during this residency, I've been frustrated, or like I could have done so many more things. But at the same time, I've really enjoyed spending so much intimate time with each object that I'm working on, hand piecing, and then putting my backing and um batting in, and then hand quilting it as well, has just been like a really, really nice process where I've had to go slow and I've had to just take time and to really kind of consider. It's definitely made me consider the compositions deeply, because I was like, oh, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with them, right? And so that has been my process right now. I had another image. Maybe I'll show the book at the end. Or I'll just share. I'll just stop sharing and I'll show you the book that this is a book that I had brought to my workshop last week too. I didn't read it or anything like a story time, but but this book is from my childhood. Upon Googling, I realized it's not a very famous book, and I also read at the beginning that it's like it's a Mennonite book. So it's definitely maybe wasn't as common as I thought it was. But quilting, and especially kind of quilting bees, were very present in the Mennonite community, and I grew up in a very Mennonite community. So maybe that was more embedded than I thought it was. But this book is really about, I always loved, oops, this image of the quilting bee. I think it's a really the history of quilting is obviously very female dominated, and quilting bees were often a place to share stories and to share gossip, which I'm always interested in as a kind of feminist act, the act of gossip and the act of sharing stories with your friends. And that's how news travels throughout women's groups and queer folk as well, I think. And that's kind of I think that it's a funny thing, the difference between gossip or oral history, or they all have these different connotations, and gossip being the female focused one often has a negative connotation, which is not surprising in how we have structured views on women. But yeah, so I think I like to think of the quilting bee as a big old gossip sesh. Yeah, so this is some more work. This is some more quotes that I've been working on. Yes, and so yeah, last week I just did a workshop at CASA, and it went super well, and I was really happy with that, with the kind of vibe of the space, and with how felt quite like a community space to just chat and share things and share ways of doing things. And so I really enjoyed having that physical, especially after kind of collaborating with people digitally for the last year. It was really nice to be in the space with people, and sharing knowledge with each other and just having a fun time. Yeah, also during my residency, I did a little bit of dyeing. Yesterday I did some avocado wheels dyeing, and it turned out, I was gonna put a picture of what they look like today, but this was when they had just started, and now they're super pink. And so that's been really fun to experiment with that, and I'd love to in the summer do more connected to our local flora and fauna, mostly flora. Yes, so now what time is it? 7:30. Perfect. Now I want to play a game with everybody. I'm gonna so it is a telestration game on the internet. If you want to play, then I will put it in the chat box, and you can click on the link, and it should be super simple to click on the link, and then we can play telestrations together.
Grace, I was just going to say, if you want to put the link on to the composition, the musical piece, in the chat as well, maybe.
I don't know if it'll work because I think it's in a private.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Thing right now, but if I can figure out a way to make it public, then I will.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds great.
Yes. Okay. Angeline, you should unmute yourself.
Okay, so do you want everyone to click on the link right now?
Yeah, click on the link right now.
Okay.
If you can, please.
Perfect.
Can't see the link.
Sorry. Oh, let me take a look here.
You can see the link.
Okay, let me.
Oh, I know what I did.
Host and pals. Yeah, we'll just send it. There we go. Perfect. I'm excited to play this game.
It's so fun. We tested it out the other day.
Oh, do you want me to like try to unmute everyone if people
sure.
want?
If everybody wants to be unmuted.
I think it's like allowed to talk for everyone.
Yes, put a loud talk. So then if you want to be more central.
Yeah, so then I think, yeah, people can choose to, if they want to unmute their microphone. So
Who is doing this? Who drew this so bad?
okay, talking permitted. If anyone isn't allowed to talk and they want to talk, let me know. I hope I didn't mess it up. Okay. But if people don't want to talk, that's cool too.
If you want, yeah, that's fine because
No pressure.
we'll just talk to each other.
Ooh, we have 17 players in the.
I didn't know if there was like a limit, so that's pretty good. Okay, so that's everybody who wants.
Awesome.
Okay. If I press start game, okay. So it's basically it'll give you a word. It'll give you a word or a picture that you have. So if you get a word, you have to draw the word. If you get a picture, you have to write a word or sentence to describe the picture. And then at the end, it'll give you this funny, like long, like receipt of like how, and it'll say like got from this word to this word or whatever.
I love it. I didn't know there was a version on here.
I know. I'm gonna pick advanced. Wait, well maybe I should. No, I shouldn't share my screen because then you'll see what my drawings are.
Yeah, I think everyone would be looking. I don't know. I'm assuming they're looking at the screen right now, the website.
Their own website, not at me. You're saying?
I don't know. Maybe split screen. It says waiting for players. Is that what
Okay.
on your screen too?
Okay. I'm just gonna. Okay. I think it should be good. Okay. So everybody should see their first prompt.
Got it. Okay. Is there a time limit? Oh, it says no time.
No, I put no time limit.
Nice. Time limits give me so much anxiety.
No, it just creates unnecessary. We're not here for stress. We're here to make a funny story.
Right.
And don't worry, if you're an art major, nobody's gonna know that you drew it.
Wait, you said there's a receipt, like a list of like.
Oh no, actually it does. It does say who did it. Never mind. I thought it didn't. But anyway, it's not.
Now I'm panicking because my drawing.
Anybody gets out their tablet to draw, then I'll be upset. No. Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, if anybody else wants to unmute, that's fine.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join the conversation.
I feel like I got such a hard word. Oh my goodness.
I selected the category advanced words.
Oh my god.
But usually they haven't been that advanced from big.
We have a question from Juliet. When you returned to drawing, what did you find the most challenging about it?
That's a good question. What did I find the most challenging? Maybe how to like transfer color into drawing in a way that felt genuine to how I make work. But I think the challenge was kind of relearning what you can do with pencil crayon because I've pretty much only done pencil crayon. So yeah, it was a challenge to kind of relearn a material and learn how I wanted to use it. I'm trying to think if anything is like not easy or I think I went to it because it was a easy medium to use while at home and accessible and that sort of thing. Well, yeah, maybe that's the answer that it felt quite natural to go through. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Julia?
Yes, good answer. Yeah, I always find it interesting, like pencil crayons aren't something that like we really think about as using as medium as like adults, kind of like not thought of as much, right? Like
yeah, and that's kind of what I liked about it, that it was like childish, but also just like accessible, like
yeah,
a grocery store you can buy. also quite nice.
Feel like, I don't know, probably a lot of us have a ton of it like stored away in the basement somewhere from like our childhood or something like
That's
that.
the thing. Like a lot of mine were actually like old school supplies.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oops. Yes. Mhm. And if anybody has an object that they've come across at the Gult, or even from their own personal histories that they find interesting and want to share, that would be with me or anybody. That would be nice.
Yeah, sorry, you're still taking submissions for the participation aspect of that?
Yeah, I think this will be like an ongoing project. Like the project that I'm working on now is specifically focusing on that Andy's piece of music.
Mhm.
But I think I can see it like kind of going on for quite a while.
You have a
Fun.
Facebook for that, right?
Yes, sorry. Yes, I have a Facebook group that if you want to be added to the group, it's called like Telestration Drawing Project or something like that. If you want to be added to the group to contribute, or yeah, if you want to contribute, if you still want to respond with drawings or whatever, I can add you to that group for sure. Okay, we have to share the screen.
Yeah.
Can you see? Oh, what is it? Okay, so the first word was split pea soup.
Nice.
Do I have to read them out? Or are we just looking? And then Kathy drew this. Oh, and Kasha thought that was spicy sushi. And so Worrzba drew this little lifesaver. And then see, this is the thing: is the bots say something dumb. Like the bot thought it was stitches.
Oh.
So, like Kevin drew this.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that ghost thought it was a smiley face. So Dan drew that. And then oh, that's so cute. And then the ghost messed it up and said rain, and then this, and then Grace thought that was raining, and then this ghost thought it was this.
Oh,
so we started with split pea soup and we ended up with happy rain people. And then there's 14 more. Okay. So okay, we can just look at it, I guess. Good tennis ball. How did Kevin get all these colors?
That's great.
Look at only 4 colors. Oh, wow.
If you click on the box, it'll give you more colors.
Oh, that's smart. Wow, this is Angeline. This is a very detailed drawing. Wow. Then we went back to rain. Rainy class. Oh, volcano. This bot thought it was a volcano.
Oh, nice volcano.
So we went from racquetball to volcano explosion spelled incorrectly. Okay. Wow.
That's so good.
Such a good drawing. And Tanel thought that was a pigeon. That's right. Good also, Taya.
Yeah, that one's so cute.
Oh, that's a cute duck. Oh, a cutie duck.
Oh, look at that one.
Oh, that's so nice.
I love them.
And then red. This is why we can't have bots. That's a good sweatshirt, Adam. Peace. So we started with clay pigeon and we ended with peas.
Nice.
Can someone confirm if they would like me to keep going?
I mean, I'm all in, but I want to everyone else.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, a candy corn. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Cute. Strawberry themed toque. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Oh.
Yay.
Oh, this is the best one. Wow. This ghost is gonna fight.
Bots only know rain and peas.
Peas
what
and
else?
stitches. Ghost of Handy drew peas in a pod. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. The Ghost of Ant. So, oh, it's so creepy. It went from a nice strawberry hat. Animal migration.
Okay.
Okay. So we went from candy corn to an angel upstairs at the photographer. Oh, a nice picture of a picnic. So we started with picnic. Oh, and Taya thought it was a very nice picnic.
Thank you, Tate.
Oh, that's Sydney.
Aw, I like that.
Yeah. Oh, picnic. Oh, wow. Like, this is actually an accurate. That
It
the girls
worked.
too. Family having a picnic.
Aw.
Oh, stitches. Oh, wow. Okay.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. That was intense.
Yeah, it took a leap. Wow. Okay. Animal migration. Okay, so we went from picnic to animal migration. Excellent. Okay. Oh, Sydney,
good.
you looked that up. Did you know the shape?
I had to look up the shape. Well, I had to look up Texas.
Oh, but how did you do that? Because
Sydney?
no, Angeline, like you
What?
had to Google. Oh, you
No,
had
I
to-
googled Texas and I was like, is this the shape of Texas?
Oh, we got dramatic cowgirl. Wow, look at this collab right here. That's good. Okay, cowboy. That's my cowboy.
Excellent mustache.
Man with a mat and a hat, a mustache and a hat. Okay, they're getting better. The bots are getting better.
That's good.
Man, good job. And then spotlight, of course. And then
Ooh, interrogation scene. Wow.
oh, okay. At least it's and then a hand blower. I'm confused. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Andrea said she got kicked out, but she was halfway through during drawing King Arthur.
Aw.
Okay, so old castle wall. Wow.
Yeah.
Adam, look at my wall.
Oh, I love your wall.
Yeah, a ripped paper bag. Oh, pretty good. Ghost of Juliet drop. Ripped paper bag. Okay.
That's a good piece of paper.
Wow.
Thank you. I worked really hard on it.
Sorry.
You can
Sorry,
tell.
I did not spend time on that. Just scroll.
Stitches and all that.
Okay. Lined paper.
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Envelope. Okay, it's staying on the right track here. Letterheads. That one's a pretty interesting direction there.
hmm.
From King Arthur to letterhead. Okay. Panther. Ooh. Adam's style. I like Adam's chunky style. For somebody else thought that was a hurricane. And I drew that. Oh, and Sydney thought it was a tornado.
Hmm.
Juliet drew the tornado. Oh, we're staying on the right track. What is that? This is a big tornado. This is not a big tornado.
So close. You're
Man
getting close.
celebrating a birthday. Okay, okay. People in animal costumes. Oh,
That one's really good. I love that.
So we went from panther to rain. Okay, ballerina.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
It's a bald ballerina. Okay, Adam said tutu.
Juliet, beautiful drawing.
So good. Stitches.
Practice
also-
stitches. Oh, nice stitches.
oh, That's also very detailed, Katie.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And then this reappears. You thought that was stitches, Angeline.
You did.
Wow. Sounds. Oh, and then we got another repeat of stitches. These complicated pattern lines. Wow.
Kevin makes a good point.
Ooh, Look
They're
at
on
these
theme.
three. Kaya, Kasha, and Kevin are like hitting it. Okay. Oh, we do. This is gingham. That's accurate, Ghost of Nicole. My mom knew that was gingham because she knows her fabrics. That was a good journey as well. Ballerina and ended up with gingham fabric. Okay. Sippy cup. That's so cute, Juliet. And I said sippy cup, and then Katie drew a sippy cup. Juicy jug. Okay.
Hey, juice, right?
Terry, you know.
Cocktails.
Ghost of Andy. What? A
I
corner.
would really love to know what this drink is that includes a whole avocado half.
I want it.
Green smoothie. Sydney thought it was musical. Oh, some singing. Okay, people jamming out to some tunes. Oh, I'm right too bad. This is so cute. Oh my gosh, I just am looking at the chat.
If
Okay,
you have questions, feel free to add
yeah,
them.
yeah, still questions. Okay, that was good too. Sippy cup to dancing.
Mhm.
Yeah, these bots got smarter throughout.
I would like to apologize for this drawing.
This win.
I don't know. I kind of love it.
Good. I would have known that was Bigfoot right away. Like Juliet, see? Right line. Yeti. And then I said Yeti. So Yeti, Yeti. And then another picture of these Yetis. Blue gremlin. Why is this green though, Kasha? It's blue. Ghost of Rain thought that was no rain. Happy in the rain. Oh, look at that. That's so cute.
It is cute.
There wasn't any blue, was there not? Oh, well, Kevin said if you clicked on the thing. Then. Okay, that's a perfect drawing from Tina Wirzba.
Wow.
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 That's a good comment.
What?
I thought it was a comment.
Oh. I was like, what was that? That's a good drawing, Kevin. See, I told you Kevin takes very seriously. Fiery comment. So Bigfoot to fiery comment. These are so good. I'm so happy. I think you can, I don't know if you can see. Okay, we started with Peking duck.
Oh.
I'm not sure. What is the vote? Does that look like Peking duck?
No.
What is it instead?
It's a dish with the thick skin is served on a white raised platform with mint leaves around.
I was like, what are you getting? And I was like, oh my gosh. Thick skin. Sprigs of mint. And then this ghost thought that that was this.
Excellent. Very good.
Makes
Yes.
sense. Laptop. Kasha drew excellent laptop. Good stuff.
Aw, so soft.
Yeah, it's like a nice soft sculpture laptop.
Yeah.
And then happy laptop lady. That's so good, Mom.
Aw.
And then rain again reappears. I think we all had to draw rain at some point. Did we?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, inclemental weather was a common theme.
Yes. Oh, I love this drawing of a stick, a rain stick, stick rain.
Oh yeah.
Rain stick. I like that interpretation. Peking duck to rain stick. Okay, two more. Global warming.
Mm.
Wow, that's excellent from Nicole. This rain. Okay. That one I could understand a little. Okay, Kasha drew some nice rain. Oh, that's nice. That's a good song. You can still see my screen, right?
Yep.
And train station. Perfect. Oh,
Mhm.
I thought that was a house by a river. Oh, house by a creek. Wow. The ghost of Andy thought it was rain, so he's coming full circle.
I didn't give much effort to that one.
But global warming ended up with blue dots. I feel like that's saying something. Bigger than us. Okay, first word hamstring.
Nice.
Love it.
I love that so much.
Oh, good.
So perfect. Hamstring. Okay, rain. Yep. Some nice rain. The ghost of Terry thought was rain. Mom drew some rain. Looks kind of like corn on the top. Morse code waterfall.
Ooh.
Kevin drew said this is accurate depiction. Line. Taya drew a line. Grace thought it was a straight line. And then dead snake. And then rain. Okay. We're gonna go back hamstring to dead snake instead of rain. Okay, that's everyone.
Yay.
We did such a good job together. Drink when the bot says rain. Accurate. Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you so much, Grace. That was awesome.
Yeah. I hope you learned something.
And I learned a lot about your practice. It was great to see because, like, you know, I went to school with you, and it's so great to see where your practice has like evolved and where it's going. And I'm really excited for you. I'm so excited for your shows. I can't wait to go see them.
Yes, it should be good. Yes.
And everyone's saying thank you in the chat if you're looking at that.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yay. Okay. All right. Well, it's up to you when you want to
We could just stay here and just
stay here forever.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, I guess I will slowly click end.
Okay.
I think that will end it for everyone. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Gracie.
Thanks for coming, Kasha.
Time for bed.
Yeah, time for bed. Go to bed. Night night.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Nice to hear you, Kasha. Bye.